This video, we are going to dive into a game-changing portion of your offense, talking about 2x2 formations and the different variations you can do without changing a thing in your passing game. What's up, coaches? It's Coach Ross, Coach Ross Football. Welcome back to the channel. If you've never been to the channel before, welcome. This channel is dedicated to talking anything and everything about the spread offense, primarily focused in on the air raid offense. We're talking passing concepts, running schemes, blocking techniques, anything and everything we try and cover on this channel about the spread offense to make you a better offensive coach. So if that is something you're interested in or something you're looking for, please consider hitting the subscribe button. Also, if you like this video, share this video out to other coaches and also make sure you give this video a like if you like it. So let's get into it. So this video is going to be focused in on talking about 2x2 formations, talking about the base formations, but then here's the kicker. We're going to be talking about using a variation of 2x2 formations to give the defense a different look, but what it doesn't do for you is doesn't change a thing because you're going to have base rules set into your offense that doesn't change a thing no matter what kind of 2x2 set you are, whether it's stacked, whether it's inverted, whatever it might be, whether it's condensed, everything still stays the same so that you can run your offense efficiently, but you are given a different look to the defense, making them confused, not knowing what to expect. And here you are, you're just executing your offense, just but different areas of the field. Nothing changes. So, like I said, let's get into it and let's break this down. So let's first break down what a 2x2 set is, or what I mean when I'm saying about a 2x2. The basic formation for a receiver, when we say 2x2 set, typically what I call my 2x2 set, my base formation is typically called ace. Um, what that is just simply two receivers split out wide on either side of the line, flanking the quarterback, and then you obviously have a running back in the backfield. He can either be on either side, sidecar of the quarterback. He can be in pistol. He can be offset. But that is the basic idea of what a 2x2 set is. So this is my basic set here in a 2x2 set. This is what we call our ace formation, where we have our X and our H on the left, our Z and our Y on the right. And this is, again, is the first formation we put into the offense. This is our ace again. Now, with regards to the running back can be split either side. Typically, a lot of times I like to have him opposite the H, but depending on what play we call, does flip flop him either side, and so he has to understand which side he needs to be on based on the play call. So that's a little bit more thinking for the running back. But this is the basic set right here that we use in the offense. Now, the secret or the specialty is how can you change this look right here, this simple 2x2 set? How can you change this to give a different picture to the defense, but make nothing change as far as passing game for your offense, especially when it comes to split field concepts? Mainly, I'm talking quick game. Now, when we're talking more full field concepts, so we're talking about your shallow cross, your mesh, your Y cross, things like that. Those are obviously those plays are built in because they are full field reads. So every player on the field has a certain particular route. But then when you talk about quick game, you're talking about a split field concept where you are running a concept to one side, and then you have a backside set of routes that you may set in, that you may have tagged, whatever it might be. But again, the goal is change the picture for the defense because like you've heard me talk about in so many other videos before, is we want the defense thinking. So if we can give them a bunch of different pictures, a bunch of different things to think about, then we have them thinking about things they shouldn't have to be thinking about. On top of the fact is that if they are thinking too much, then they are not being able to react and hit their responsibilities like they should, playing as fast as they should be or playing as fast as they are coached to be, because they are wondering about, okay, I have a different picture, so how does that change up my responsibilities? First thing I want to talk about, and I think I have mentioned this in another video, I think about the foundation of success. I will link it down in the description of the video that I'm talking about, where you build a foundation. Well, within that foundation on your offense, obviously this is the uh, first formation that I'm installing. But along with just installing the formation, I explain or tell them that they have certain roles and rules with regards to the field and based on their placement on the field. So Running back. First, we'll talk the running back based on a play call. Based on a play call, the running back has to do a little bit more thinking. So the based on the play call will determine where he is lined up on the field. So in other words, we could technically have him on this side, or we could have him flipped over on this side, depending on what the play call is. So, for example, if we are calling ace, just simple ace zone left, that tells him that he needs to be on the left side. Now, obviously, we can call ace pistol. So if we call ace pistol, then that tells the running back he needs to be lined up behind the quarterback, and we can still run zone left. We can still run zone left, and he's going to be going to his left side. Okay, so depending on the play call determines where the running back lines up. So, what are the roles for the receivers? Well, it depends on it depends on what play we're calling, but typically what we have it do is if you are a slot receiver, you are typically running the concept play or the concept route for that particular concept. And again, I'm talking mainly quick game here. So, for example, we will use stick. And since I got F on this side, say we call a stick right. Just simple base play, a stick right, which simply just looks like this. You got that. You can have a vertical here. You have either your swing or your shoot. Okay. So, outside receiver always has the outside route or the vertical route. Inside receiver has the stick route. Swing route goes to the running back. Now, typically we just number it one, two, three. So obviously in this 2x2 set, the running back is the number three receiver in this kind of a concept. So a lot of times our number three receivers have that flat route, whether we are talking about a 3x1 concept. Now, obviously we're not talking about that now, but in our offense, in a 3x1 set, that typically that number three receiver will have a flat route on that number three, unless we tag something else. And so the middle receiver would have the concept route. So in this case, that would be the stick route. And then we have our vertical on our outside receiver. And that doesn't change. It doesn't change depending on the formation that we are in. So it can be any kind of formation. I'm going to show you a bunch of different formations um, and show you how the rules don't change as long as they understand the simple rules here of your base plays. So your stick, your four verticals, your corner. So in other words, if we got corner, if we just back it up here and we'll just do corner. So we have our corner here. He's running the corner route. Our inside receiver is running the corner route. We have our slant and sit or our snag route. And then we have our swing. So all of those right there, that is the basic concepts for a corner or snag out of our 2x2 set. Again, still the same thing. This doesn't change out of any 2x2 set. It does not change at all. So number two has a concept. Number three or number one typically has the vertical on a stick or like for example fade out, and then the number three typically has the flat. And that's how it would be no matter what 2x2 set we are in. And you might think that when we talk about a variety of formations in the 2x2 set, you might think that that gets complex, super confusing for the offense. They're not knowing what to do. But it doesn't because, again, especially when it comes to half field or split field concepts like the quick game, once you establish those base rules of your base plays, you can run those out of any kind of 2x2 set you want. Now, obviously, certain formations, probably not the best idea to be running a certain kind of play, and I'll show you some examples of that here in a minute. What the goal is with these different sets is once you've established those base rules and the kids and the guys, they understand it. They understand my role is here, my rule is here, this is my rule, this is what I need to do on this particular play. No matter where I am in the field, I'm always going to be that number two receiver. Or I'm always the number one receiver. Where I am on the field, the running back knows what he has to do in a 2x2 set based on where he's at. Then the number one goal, obviously, is to just confuse the defense. We are creating multiple pictures for the defense so that we can be flexible and the passing concepts don't change. The rules don't change. The only thing that changes is the look, the launch point from the field. That's the only thing that changes, but the rules don't change. And that's all about being simple. That's all about simplifying the offense. Now, I understand that we are making it a little more complex, but the goal is to make it more complex for the defense, not for us, because regardless if we are in a regular ace formation like you see here, or if we are in, say, a stacked formation, then still the rules still apply. The rules still apply for whatever concept we're running. I'm going to show you that right now. What kind of formations can we come up with? Well, so we have our normal ace. We can move both receivers and stack them. All right, so now obviously that changes up the look of the defense. It's still a 2-by-2 set by our standards, but now the look of the defense. Now, how are they supposed to cover that? Does it take them out of their base rules? Does it take them out of their point of the field rules or whatever it might be for that particular part of the field and that particular formation? Now all of a sudden you just change the picture a little bit. Does it change the defense? It doesn't change a thing for us. So, for example, we'll just stay with stick. We'll stay with stick here. Again, outside, if we were going to run stick right, outside receiver still has his outside release vertical. Now Z can build off of that and he can play off and find that open space and sit down, and then F is still running the swing. Now we've just changed the look. Now, obviously, the defense wouldn't cover like you see here. They would probably, maybe they would bring the corner down to try and press, which is fine. They might move either the overhang or even possibly move the safety over to protect deep, and then this player just controls the flats. They might do that. If they dedicate more players to that side of the ball, to our concept side, they obviously have to adjust here. So what do? Then we can look backside too, and we have our backside concepts as well. And they can be a bunch of different things, especially if you have stacked. You could have to where, again, we're running vertical. He's running vertical here. So we could have him running vertical, and then we can have a hitch off of this as well, or some sort of a slant that work into that space. You can do a lot of different things on the backside. What if we go from a stacked to we have it furthermore inside here, not necessarily condensed, but now we have it more where our X and our Y are out like this, and we've kind of just flipped it. So now typically the outside receiver is inside and our inside receivers are on the outside. So what changes? Well, nothing, because the rules tell you what to run. So now simply, okay, I call stick. Well, what does number two have? What does number two have? Doesn't matter if it's Y. Doesn't matter. Where is he on the field? Is he the number two receiver or is he the number one receiver? He's the number two, he's running stick. If he's the number one, he's got the vertical, and then obviously a running back on the shoot or the swing. Doesn't matter. All right, so that is a base rule right there. So again, it does not matter where you are as far as your letter or your designation as far as that, but where you are on the field. That is the rule. Okay. Now, obviously, typically we have our X and our Y as our outside receivers. Our H and Z are typically our slot receivers, but it doesn't change. It doesn't change because we are focused on where you are on the field, not your particular position, but where you are on the field. And that's what we understand. And that's what we kind of show early is based on where you are in the field, what number receiver you are in that particular formation. That determines your responsibility, your role, your route. We just simply stack one side and leave the other side normal. Okay. So based on this, and I don't think I covered this earlier, if we go into our stack formation, still the receiver that's on the line, whether Y, Z, H, X, doesn't matter, they are the number one receiver. They are the number one receiver, then that slot or the one that's behind is considered that number two. So even in a stack formation, does not change. Y would still have that release vertical. Then Z would run that stick route. Okay, so it doesn't change there. So what happens if, say, for example, we have bring Z in as our sniffer back or our H back? We're still in a 2-by-2 set. Still in a 2-by-2 set here. We can still run stick. Now, I wouldn't really recommend stick from our H back in this kind of position. All right, but you can still do it. It's going to be more of like a hitch or kind of like a go and settle in space kind of route here. You can still run it. Um, but again, nothing changes. If we call stick and we call stick to this side, then simply nothing changes. Y is still number one, Z is number two, F's number three. So again, we still have our stick right here, vertical here, and then our swing. We technically still want to because again, we are trying to put this defender right here in conflict. That's where he lines up and sets up aligns to this type of formation. Now let's shift to a tighter 2x2 formation. Instead of having receivers obviously spread out wide, we're going to bring them in closer to the line of scrimmage. The defense has to respect the same passing concepts. They do. But now they're dealing with a different alignment. Again, going back to what I talked about, they have to think about this now. It's a different alignment. It's still 2x2 for us. It's just in close now. Now, obviously, there are certain plays we wouldn't call out of the formation. Now, that more likely, like I've been going over stick for this entire video, this is probably a formation that we probably wouldn't call stick out of just because of the tight bunch. Obviously, that's going to condense the defense. Is going to create less space in the middle of the field for that stick route that we want to try and take advantage. But now, bringing that defense in, this now we can start taking effect or taking advantage of the outside portion of the field. So even though the receivers are tighter, your routes don't change. You might still run a mesh concept or levels, but because of the tighter alignments, the defense is forced to make tighter, quick decisions, creating more opportunities for confusion. Again, it's all about confusion. You're going to hear me talk about confusion a lot. So this confuses the defense. Now we can run, one thing that I really, really like to run out of this kind of a formation is a simple little sprint. I'm not going to show the blocking assignments here as far as the routes here, but what we can do, or excuse me, the blocking assignments were as far as where what offense linemen are pulling. But if we just had a simple little sprint out here to where we'll call this basically almost like a sail play here. So we will have Y, he's still number one. So in our sail concept, Y would be that vertical right here. Z is going to come out and he's going to essentially just run that sail route. Okay. Now, a lot of times we have that drag coming from the backside here. So we would run that this way. Um, a lot of times on this, I like to have F as that protector. And then obviously the quarterback is sprinting out and has the option to either throw the sail, throw the drag, throw the vertical if it's there, or run the ball. So something like this where we're attacking the outside portion of the field. This is good on this formation. You can still run four verticals out. You can run mesh out of this. There's a lot of things you can do out of this formation. It's still a 2x2 set. So once you set in basic rules, whether you run sail, whether you run four verticals, the rules don't change. What do we call these formations again? I'm just going to move them back here. So our basic formation here is just simply ace. We call this ace. Now, the base formation for that would just tell F to line up opposite of H. That's just the way I've always had it. Now, obviously, based on the play call, if we were just to line up an ace, just regular ace is how we would line up. If we didn't call a play, we just ran straight ace. This is what we'd line up in. So we could go ace stack. Now, if we just say stack, simple stack, that tells everybody to stack. We can go ace stack tight. So they come in a little bit. And we don't stack it, or we can call this ace stack mid, where they're mid, more towards the hashes, and we can call ace stack tight, which means they're more in tight, obviously. Line, so this still be ace stack tight. Okay. We could just go ace stack right. So that just tells them, okay, we're just stacking to one side. Ace stack left. Again, I just keep moving these guys around. I learned this from one of my other coaches I've coached with. They call this a Bama. So Bama right. This would be Bama left, which means that forces H to come to this side. Okay, we obviously have our Bama triples and our Bama trips. That would be a 3x1 set. So Bama right, Bama left. That just tells that we call this the Bama back as well. I learned that from another coach. So I kind of liked it. So I kind of stole it. So this is Bama right, or excuse me, Bama left. And then we just flip it. This would be Bama right. It's still a 2x2 set. no matter how you look at it. Then we can call ace tight. So that puts us in tight right there. Okay, there's our ace tight formation. We can go ace tight right. So obviously now we're split out here. Keep it tight this way. So just all kinds of different looks. Now, obviously, again, certain looks you're not going to be able to run certain plays. Like for example, just by looking at this, and I'm not going to draw it up, but when you look at it, would I probably call stick to this side? Probably not. Probably not. I would maybe just have him flip and just say, we'll call this ace tight right, stick left. So that tells running back, okay, stick left. I'm flipping. I'm flipping to this side. So now we're just running stick to this side. And we can do, put in any kind of concept we really want to the backside. We're just focused on this side. Now, obviously, if we have it more condensed to one side, the routes as far as the backside might change a little bit, and so that's something that we can develop. You know, a lot of times it would be more of a I'm gonna run a corner, and then I'm just gonna have a flat here. So it's almost like a levels kind of concept to our backside if we were in tight like that. That's something you can do. But again, it's still a 2x2 set no matter how you spin it, no matter where you look at it. It's still a 2x2 set. So that's what we would call that. So that would be ace tight right. Okay, so these are just different variations we can do. Different variations that we can do. There's so many, but again, once you establish base rules for your offense, especially in a 2x2, now obviously you have base rules in 3x1, yeah, but we're not talking about 3x1 in this video. So base 2x2 rules, establish them early. Those should be one, in my opinion, one of the first things you kind of install with your formations. Okay, once you start putting in those passing concepts, what rules do you give so that you can get into any kind of formation you want? But as long as the players know, okay, I'm number one, I'm number two, I'm number three, or whatever it might be, what is my job on that particular play based on where I am aligned on the field? Am I the number one receiver? Am I the number two receiver? Am I the number three receiver? And you all have roles to do. And obviously, once you establish those base foundations, then you can start expanding the playbook. Now, do I recommend expanding the playbook a lot to where you have a huge play call sheet? No, I don't. I don't. Again, I'm of the believer that when you are installing your offense, you should be doing it by the 4-4-4 rule, which is 4 runs, 4 passes, and 4 screens. And then obviously you build off that because that's your foundation. So real quickly, what does a full field concept, for example, look like in a say formation like this? So we are again, we are in ace tight right here, and say we call ace tight right, shallow left. Okay, so we're calling shallow cross, we're calling shallow left, and when I say shallow left, we are telling H that he is running the shallow. So the rules on shallow, or I'm actually gonna be doing a video here pretty soon on shallow, but he's got the shallow cross, outside receiver on that back side has typically a vertical route, so he's going to press this even further out wide and really have a fade here to try and pull that corner to the outside. Gonna have an outside release here, and he has the dig route right there. And then our F is on the swing going opposite the shallow. We have a vertical here. We could turn that into we can tag a post on that if we needed to. But then that's shallow cross essentially out of a formation like that. Can we run mesh? Absolutely, we can run mesh. We can do mesh as well. There's so many different ways to run mesh on here. So we'll show a real quick way how you can run mesh. There's so many different variations of mesh. Again, I like the post to the outside here. You have your mesh, you have your under here. Of course, that's not going to cooperate with me. We have our over here. Okay, there's your mesh. We have, I like still that wheel route coming out with the back of that rail route. And I'm particular, you know, especially in a tight like this, you can have a vertical out this way, but also I'm kind of favoring to the on the ball, the OTB route right there. Kind of just setting up right there. kind of favoring that as well. But you can run mesh out of this as a fulfilled concept. You can run mesh. So you can do all your concepts out of here as long as they understand the roles and where they are on the field. Lastly, the last thing I really want to cover here, my favorite, so I say the best for last in my opinion, is we can use motion to create a new look. All right, so you know how much I love motion and how much of a weapon I think it is in your offense. But simple little things again. If you listen to my videos before, you know that I believe that motion should be a part of your install. You should be showing some motion, not everything that you have in your playbook, but introducing some motions to them, introducing some movement for your offense, and understanding how that changes some rules a little bit. It does, but if you keep it simple, it works. So if we motion one of the receivers across the formation, we turn what was once a 3-by-1 alignment into a 2-by-2 without ever having to change the rules of the passing concept. So what I mean by that is, say for example, we call late, okay? We'll call late. All right, so that's our late formation. We call late shift or move ace. All right, so we call shift ace. So we call late shift ace stick right. Okay. What is that telling you? What does that play call mean? So we line up in late. They hear late first. Then they hear shift. Okay. Who's shifting? Okay. That says shift to ace. Okay. Well, what player needs to move to get back into ace? That is Z. So we keep it simple. So he's going to move, get back to his spot, get set. And now we are running stick to the right. So now he's running his stick. There's swing, vertical. We could have double slants here. On the backside, doesn't really matter. But just adding that little bit of motion, again, you've created a different picture for the defense. And now we've shifted from a 3-by-1 set to now a 2-by-2 set. So now all of a sudden we've gone to a 2-by-2 set. So the last thing the players should be listening to is the last formation before the play call. So we started in late. That's the first play call. So late, shift, ace, stick right. So we shifted from a 3-by-1 to a 2-by-2 set. And now we've called stick right to the right side of that 2-by-2 set. It goes back to the base rules, which is okay. Number 2 receiver's got stick. Number 3 receiver or running back has the swing. Outside receiver has that outside release vertical, or you could post it, whatever you want to do. But now the rules just changed, just by the look. Just because all we did was just simply shift from a 3-by-1 to a 2-by-2 set, and you could do it vice versa from 2-by-2 to 3-by-1. And we can talk about establishing rules for 3-by-1 here in a future video, which I'd love to do. Let me know down in the comments if you want to see that. But motion forces the defense to make adjustments. Do they pass off the receiver or switch their coverage? The defense is still dealing with the same routes, but motions forces them to react to and that's where the confusion can creep in. Because again, we showed this look, they align to a 3-by-1, and then all of a sudden we motion back into a 2-by-2. They have to now all of a sudden communicate to each other and talk and reestablish their responsibilities, their roles. All the while, we are snapping the ball and we're going. We're going. We don't have to wait for the defense. We're going. All right. In the hopes that if we can do this fast enough, that we catch them in the middle of them trying to still adjust to what we've just switched out of and align to. Our alignment goes from a 3-by-1 to a 2-by-2 in hopes that we've kind of caught them off guard. And now all of a sudden, the space that we're used to just got that much bigger because now defense is out of position, players out of position, especially the ones we're trying to take advantage of or put in a conflict. They are especially out of position because they're not sure quite what the responsibilities and roles are because they're not being able to think that fast before we're snapping the ball. Wrap it all up. The key to using multiple 2-by-2 formations in the spread offense is the ability to keep your passing concepts consistent while presenting the defense with a variety of looks. Whether you're in a traditional spread, air raid, whatever it might be, a tight alignment type of defense, or using even motion, your core passing rules should stay the same no matter what formation you're in. but the defense has to adjust to those different formations. And that's where you create the confusion, and that's where you create the advantage. So by mixing things up with the two by two formations, you can give the defense fits while keeping your offense simple and efficient. Because again, the goal is simplified. I hope this breakdown helps you think outside the box when planning your playbook, when planning your formations. Because again, I'm a big believer of more formations than plays. So if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button. Also subscribe to the channel and drop a comment down below if you have any questions or suggestions, especially for future videos. I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.